So I am here with Dr. Matthew Armstrong, who is my favorite college professor and maybe some of yours. If there's anything that I know at all about music or teaching it, I learned it from this man. I know I'm not alone in saying he was probably the most impactful professor we had during our music education at Wartburg College. He's beloved, so much so that a handful of us have traveled great distances to sing his Requiem last summer and again this summer. So, welcome, Dr. Armstrong.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. How can I top an intro like that?
Well, you'll just live up to it with your goodness and your brilliance. And so I want to talk first about the Requiem. And so some of you who know Dr. Armstrong have sung his music before. We did Credo was probably the most well-known that we did during our Wartburg College days in the late 90s, not to date us. We are all Gen Xers getting older. But Requiem, the Requiem for Mother and Child is the one that we were performing in Des Moines that we performed in Ohio. And some of us like to think of it as your Mr. Holland's opus kind of a composition. So tell us about the piece. Tell us how you feel about it. Tell us the story behind it and how long it took you to write. Just tell us everything.
Yeah, well, as I shared with all of you that were here last summer, it was a work that was 30 years in the making. It took me that long to kind of figure out, the direction and how it should end and all of that. Um, my younger brother, Mike, drowned in a canoe accident in 1978. He was 14. He was an amazing young man. I'm one of three sons born to my mom and dad, and he was by far the the best of us, without a question. So anyway, when from the time Mike drowned, and it was quite an impactful event on me and on the life of my family, because not only did he drown, but his friend Troy drowned, and two firemen drowned trying to rescue them. So it was a huge, very public tragedy that affected my life, and everything that has come since then. Um, as you said, a lot of you guys have sung my other stuff from your time at Wartburg. You know that I'm very much a sort of heart on my sleeve kind of guy. I tend to feel that the stories that we share through music bring us closer together as human beings and allow us to be more compassionate and understanding towards each other. Certainly, that was evident last summer when everybody was here. But at any rate, the Requiem, my mother was affected by that more than anyone else, so hence the title Mother and Child. Um, she was never the same after that, and for the 37 years between when Mike died and when my mother passed, um, she longed to be reunited with him. And so in the final days of her life, all she could talk about was Mike and how excited she was to be able to see him again and embrace him and let him know how much she loved him and how much he had been missed. So, with that, finally, this work that had been 30 years sort of in the making, it became clear that the story was less about my brother who had passed and more about a mother who had spent 37 years grieving for her son and longing to be reunited with him. And that sort of put the final exclamation point on the work. Um, it's a very emotional work, as you can imagine, but and as you know, Steph, because you've sung it, but I think it's also very uplifting. And one of the things that really struck me after the performance last year was how many people came up afterwards. I was just really overwhelmed and bombarded by people who shared similar stories, who said, how cathartic it was for them to remember a loved one that maybe had been um, have passed in some tragic or unexpected way, but not necessarily just that. I think we all, we have those memory banks of things that have been very special in our lives, and some people avoid that emotion. I think we all do on some level, but it's nice to remember, it's nice to be reminded once in a while.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not crying right now. You're crying. Someone else is crying, not me. I mean, I got emotional just listening to you describe it. And there's just no way to translate into words how that feels when you don't tell us about it. We listen to it in the final part of the piece. There just aren't words to describe the ending of this. It is exquisite. I'm certain that I wept on stage through the entire last 5 minutes of the performance. It defies language. And when you were talking about all the people coming up to you afterwards, it happened to us too. People who were there, firemen, friends, like people who remember that day, and they wanted to come and talk to us, strangers, about. I mean, it was so powerful. We sat in the pews and people just kept coming and coming, and they all wanted to share what this meant to them. And that is the thing that I think transcends language. It brought us together as musicians, but the entire audience, we shared something. And I think you would probably agree that that's the alchemy of performance.
Absolutely. That's the magic, and that, all of us who tell stories, whether it's through music or whether it's through narrative or poetry or whatever it might be, that's we believe in that human connection, I think. And that was certainly very evident that day. And I think for the performance in Des Moines, the thing that's maybe different about that performance is that it's even more people who were connected to me during their college days or were connected to those of you who were a part of this.
Yep.
And, it's very humbling to me and it's very, very special. I think one of the things that struck me um, last June when we did the performance in my hometown here in Ohio, um, years ago, somebody said to me, we always think that the uh, the appreciation of a performance is through wild applause and a standing ovation, but oftentimes the most generous and meaningful appreciation can be through silence. And at the end of that concert, and I'm sure you will remember, um, and I don't want to spoil, the intricacies of how it ends. But, the final note happened. I cut the orchestra off. I put my hands down, and there literally was like 10 seconds of silence.
I am just crying and crying. Yes, the silence. And don't you think also that that's something we're not necessarily good at as human beings, as is silence and sitting with profound grief and love and gratitude all in one breath. And I think it's just the most sacred thing, that pause, that moment of silence that we all shared, that we sat in together.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my former church choir members who was there said to me that day, and I love her, but she's not an outwardly emotional person in any way, shape, or form. But this gal from my church choir, her name's Peggy, and she came up to me and she said, I was fine until the little boys started singing, and then I
Yep.
just couldn't hold it together anymore.
Yep.
And so that's a little teaser there, but
There's a little teaser, and I will not do any spoilers about what's so beautiful about the ending, but you couldn't see, and I know we told you, Tyra and I both, I think, saw, you couldn't see, you were facing us. And during that ending, oh, I've just got goosebumps just thinking about it. In the cathedral, the door was open to the outside, and we could see just the silhouette, not the features of a mother standing in the doorway holding her little boy on her hip. And it was like, the most powerful, beautiful, like how could that have happened in that moment? And
yeah.
I just was so
Yeah,
moving.
and you're right. I didn't see it, although I had encountered that little boy prior to when we started because he was fussy and his mom was back there with him trying to calm him down. So, I mean, I had encountered him and I did know what you were talking about. But I mean, many would call that a God wink moment for sure.
Oh,
it
it
was
was.
certainly something that you guys in mass, I think most all of you noticed that and commented on it. So.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Now, I want to pivot a little bit because you're right. We'll be in Iowa this time, and Wartburg is in Iowa and Des Moines. I'm telling this to the people who don't know. Not everyone who's watching might have the geography of Iowa. But so we're going to be performing in Des Moines, and there are a lot of local area Wartburg musicians, alumni in the area, and some who are traveling from different parts of Iowa to be there. But there will be more of us. That we had a small group. I can't remember exactly how many alum from Wartburg were in Ohio that made that trek. But we thought, let's bring it to Des Moines because then there are more people who live close by, and we've accumulated quite a nice size of alumni for this choir and then the concert band before. Do you remember how many musicians we have?
Yes. And they're not exclusively Wartburg alums.
Correct. Yep.
And one of the things that's cool about it, which was true last summer too, is I've wanted it to be a family event. So we have my former students singing with their
Their
children in
children.
many
Hmm.
cases,
Hmm.
So, and their children, when I say children, these are children who are now young adults, many of them the age that you guys
That we
were when you
were.
were my students. So that's really, really cool. But at this point, we have a chorus of I think about 75 members. We have an orchestra of 26 members. And that's the second half of the concert. The first half of the concert is more of a Wartburg event. It's an Wartburg alumni wind ensemble group um, conducted by my former colleague and now retired professor from Wartburg, Dr. Craig Hancock. And it's just really exciting. There's been just such a positive, people are really excited after some of them, we haven't seen each other for like 25 years.
Yes. And
And
it really was 25 years. I mean, I think I celebrated my 25th college reunion at homecoming last fall. And so, some of us are still close and live near each other and see each other often, but for the majority of us, these are people that we haven't seen in several decades. And it's hard to describe what that felt like. Some of us have gone to regular homecoming. This is different. This is like our music homecoming, and it's an intimate group, and we're sharing something beautiful. And it felt like we just fell right back into this rhythm, which was extraordinary.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I often say, when we were done last summer stuff, you'll remember we were all sitting on my patio here in Bowling Green, Ohio, and just kind of chatting. There was a group, most everybody had taken off. There was a group of about a dozen of us left. That's where I believe it was you who said we should do this in Des Moines.
I
And
did,
and
yeah.
that all came up. But the interesting thing about it, there are many, but to me, part of that discussion was who would have thought 25 years ago that we would all be sitting here together and that it would feel like no time had passed, that we were just falling right back into the groove. In some ways, even more relaxed and more
Even
fun than
more.
we remembered. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just such an incredibly special thing to me that, not only did we come back together, but I think I said to you guys, who would have thought we even would have wanted to do this, that
Right.
we would have even cared about doing something like this?
Well, and I think that the answer is in this that, 25 years ago we graduated and began to go on with our, grown-up lives, and you get a certain way into adulthood and you look back and you think, was that as special as I remember it? Am I idealizing this? Was it really that special? And the farther we get and the more it sinks in, what we had was special. And I think some of it is Wartburg College. I think some of it is Wartburg College choir and band and orchestra, the music department. And some of it was maybe just that little pocket of people. But it was special and it was real. And I think when we came back together, that's what hit home for me. We did not imagine it. This isn't just like longing for the days of youth. There was something really special about that time and those people. And so for anyone who's thinking about, attending this performance, come. It is magical. And we will all get to spend time together, and you just won't believe how special it feels to be back together. I mean, the alchemy is just extraordinary.
I would agree. I would agree. It's for sure, in terms of my professional career, it's the most special thing. Crazy me, I have great interest in people. I love connecting with people on many different levels. But you're right, Steph. This was really something very, very special. And I love these people. It's we there are ups and downs to social media. But what's been really special, I think, for me, is that so many of you, we have remained in touch on social media and we
Mhm.
keep up, even though we don't talk on a regular basis necessarily, we've kept up with each other's lives and each other's children and watched them grown up and watched like these special life events, and so it's just been really interesting that within all of that are all of these people who, when we sent out the call and said, "Hey, you guys, I think we're going to do this. Let's see what kind of interest there is." And man, oh man, oh man, it's just really, really been special to see the response. And I'm just so excited to see everybody,
I,
you know.
I am too.
But
And it's,
we'll have
we,
to be disciplined and make sure we get work done and get music rehearsed, because we'll want to spend all of our time just hugging and reconnecting, I'm sure.
I know, and we will, and there will be lots of chatting, and we're going to get together outside of rehearsals that weekend too. I mean, it is going to feel like you're being transported back into the past, but like you said, but better, with a couple decades worth of life experience and wisdom that probably makes you a better person and definitely makes you appreciate that time of life a little bit more and appreciate the value of these lasting relationships. And you're right. That is the one good thing about social media, that ability that we've stayed connected, that we've been able to watch each other, watch each other's careers or children grow up. And I think it's going to be so fun to be together. But rehearsing is also like many of us haven't rehearsed like that since our Wartburg choir days. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like, oh God, can I even sing like this anymore? And it's like you start warming up and you're like, oh man, I am home. I know how to do this. It
Yeah.
is like riding a bike. And then you're singing this gorgeous choral music again. And it's like most of us, we are missing this in our lives. And like, when do you get to experience that again? I mean, still, choral music makes me cry. Just, it like brings me back to those special days. And I just want everyone to be able to experience this, whether you're watching it on the live stream or like, oh God, if you can be there in person, you definitely want to like come to sort of bask in this alchemy and this magic. And on top of it all, this piece of music is exquisite and it will change you.
Oh, God bless you, Steph. Yeah, I want to give a shout out. We talk about uh, from the standpoint of the professor here, the former students, and watching you all and how your lives have evolved and you've grown into these just amazing adults and professionals and parents and all these amazing things all of you are doing. And I have to say, because it's been almost humorous, on some level, I'm still in the professor mode and you're still my students,
Oh yeah.
but better, but there's been an amazing committee that's helped put this together. You're one of those people, and I tell you, you guys have done just an amazing job of taking the weight off of my shoulders and making all of this happen. And I'm just really looking for, I cannot wait to
Me
hear this
too.
group of people sing again.
Yeah.
It's going to just be really amazing.
And we're just a few weeks away now. So it's going to be here soon. And I will put links to how you can get involved, buy tickets, live stream tickets. If you live in the Des Moines area, we would love for you to support this performance by attending the show live. And if you don't, you can pay for a live stream ticket. You'll get the replay, which you'll have indefinite access to. And financially, there are lots of costs involved in putting a production of this magnitude together. So donations and sponsorships are greatly appreciated. And if you have a small business or a large business, or you are a person who'd like to make a donation or donate in memory of a loved one, all of these are great ways to get involved. There's a discount code for anyone if finances are a hardship. We don't want anyone to not be able to watch the performance. It's been such an honor to be part of it, and I just can't wait to see you in Iowa in a few weeks.
I feel the same, my dear. I love you dearly.